Sippers, welcome to the Tea With Me podcast with me, Shane Todd. It's the Friday episode. It's a guest episode. We are putting out still 2 episodes a week in the run-up to Christmas and in between Christmas and New Year, where, let's face it, you're just lying on the sofa, pretending you like your family, you want to watch podcasts, you want to listen to podcasts, so that's what we're going to deliver. And I said podcast in a really weird way just before that, and I don't know if you picked up on it, but I did, and it really threw me off. We've got coming up, we've got solo episodes. We're going to have an episode with Paddy McDonnell again after some of those clips where Paddy was on before just went. People always say things go viral when a lot of time they don't. You know, that it kind of did, but in the grand scheme of things in the world, it maybe didn't. You know, but how about whenever, you know, a business posts up a video of them doing wear a novelty tie to work day, and the video has like 13 likes and it's seen by 400 people, and they go, well, this has gone viral, and you're like, unfortunately it hasn't. But the clips with Paddy kind of did in a Northern Ireland way. They went viral. So Paddy's coming back on. Kieran Bartlett's going to do an episode. There's some surprises. It's going to be a good time. There might be a little present on Christmas Day for you to unwrap, although don't wrap it because it'll be an audio video form, right? You'll electrocute yourself. Might get that, and by the way, that's premium dad banter right there is what that is. Before we launch into this episode, and before I introduce this episode, let me plug a couple of things. Number one is Manscaped. Okay, Manscaped are the original sponsors, if you like, of this podcast. They've been sponsoring us for a lot of months now. We appreciate it, and we get people asking like, oh, can we sponsor the podcast? What about this product or that? If we don't think it's good, we don't have it on. And let me just say, I am a user of Manscaped products, as is Dan, and we're getting Big Mike hooked up as well. Okay, and trust me, the guy needs it. So Manscaped is essentially men's grooming products for below the belt. And if you wear your belt in the traditional way, you'll know where that means. But if you're one of these weird guys who wears belts around your neck, you know, like a choke chain, you could if you wear your belt around your neck, you could use this for nipple maintenance, I would say. But it's mainly used for the sexual region. The holidays are here. Have you made your wish list yet? Our sponsor's the number one wish for gift of the year, Manscaped. Ho, 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 fellas, naughty or nice, 'tis the season to perform. And that's what I'm talking about, you know, especially if you're involved in the adult film industry, you want to look really good. Manscaped have really nice packages put together that include their Lawnmower 3.0 trimmer. It's the best trimmer on the market for your balls, butt, and body. And I'll be honest, when I read that, I thought it said your balls, butt, and booty, which is the name of my first ever rap album that did not perform well on the charts. It didn't perform well. 79% of partners polled admitted long nose hair is a major turnoff. Why not use the best tools for the job? And that's what they have. Manscaped have products for your nose hair, your ear hair, your balls. It's all taken care of. But if 79% of people said nose hair is a major turnoff, who are that other 21% of people? Who are those 20% of partners that are like, oh, fuck, get that nose hair out, you sexy bastard? 100% of people should be saying nose hair is gross, unless you're some sort of old granddad guy who can't help it. What you do is you get yourself the Manscaped Performance Package. We have a discount code, 20% off and free shipping. Use the code teawithme for 20% off and free shipping. If you're doing like a Secret Santa, this is a great idea for a guy. You know, if it's a loved one, if it's your dad, if it's your uncle that's in jail, you send this over to him. 20% off and free shipping. It's essentially products that include the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant, the Crop Reviver Ball Toner to provide maximum ball hygiene. Cheers to manscaped.com. So head over, have a look at that. Might be good for a Christmas gift. We also have to plug a couple of things really, really quick, right? One is SSA Arena on, I think it's the 6th of November next year. I'm playing SSA Arena in Belfast, which is the biggest stand-up show that I've ever done. Tickets are on sale on Ticketmaster. I'll be honest, people always say this as like a marketing ploy thing. They're well over halfway gone, but they genuinely are. So when you go to the Ticketmaster website, you can see what's available and what isn't. Blown away by the response to this, and I think it's going to be an unforgettable night, and I'm working on some surprises for that. So you can get yourself a ticket for that. My show's called Chancer. It'll be the first time I've done the hour-long show. It's different to the Waterfront show, so if you're coming to see the Somebody Told Me show, and hopefully I'll get to tour that, this will be totally different, so you can definitely come and see both. So tickets are on Ticketmaster website for the SSA Arena show. Patreon.com is the last thing. Two more things to plug. I don't like doing this, right? Two more things to plug. Patreon.com/teawithmepodcast. The way we've been working the podcast in this kind of lockdown is that we've been doing Wednesday and Friday full-length episodes out there for everyone, and a small little bonus podcast on Patreon every Monday. As soon as 2021 hits, we're changing it up a bit, and we're doing a Wednesday episode like this one available to everyone on audio and YouTube. But the Friday episode will be on Patreon. There'll be another full-length bonus episode with great guests, solo episodes, and then there will also be different bonus series. There might be a football series. There might be one with like actors. There might be one about, I don't know, sheep. It could be anything. What I'm saying is you go over to patreon.com/teawithmepodcast, you sign up for however much you want, and you get loads and loads of bonus content, including a full-length episode that won't be available to the public. So get yourself over there. The last thing I got to plug, more plugs in your dad's bottom drawer. We have been doing, and my guest and I talk a little bit about this, a virtual comedy club every Saturday night on Vimeo. So you stream the comedy club. It's called The Comedy Shore because we film it in Hollywood. You might see a posted about it. We get some of the best comedians in Northern Ireland to come down and do a set. It feels a little bit like a comedy club. The response to the last one was unreal. Loads of people downloaded it and kind of just had their own comedy club on a Saturday night or Sunday night or whatever in their living room with a wine or a beer. The Comedy Shore, we're doing another episode this Saturday and then one the following Saturday. Or what you could do is get the one before, watch all three in a row. It's £3.50 per episode. I think that's a bargain. We are doing 2 episodes tonight. We're recording them tonight, and they'll be available on Vimeo, but you'll get all that on my social media at The Comedy Shore. So let's launch into this episode. My guest is Tom Grennan. Tom is absolutely brilliant. Tom is a musician, a singer-songwriter. He's class. I saw Tom for the first time, which we talked a little bit about at Belsonic in Custom House Square in Belfast. I was there to watch Ryan McMullen's show. Tom was the sort of main support act. And I was just blown away by how original his music was, by how good the music was. And I think there was a real sense at that show of being blown away by this guy. So I've kind of followed his music and his career since. He's got a new song out at the minute called Amen, which came out like last month. And it is a complete belter. I listen to it when I go running. Tom has loads of songs that you will hear and go, oh yeah. And then you go, oh yeah. And then the one he done with Jason Statham. And then you go, which I nearly said Jason Statham, which I don't think he's done a duet with Jason Statham, but maybe he would. Tom's a real interesting guy. We had a really good chat about his family in Ireland, about performing, about being sober, about some of the things he's confronted in lockdown, which I think to an extent all of us have. A really, really interesting guy, a nice guy. He's someone who you can tell is so into what he does. He is so into his music and writing songs, and he is absolutely fucking brilliant at it. So this is my chat with Tom Grennan. I hope you enjoy it. Let's just get into it, sippers. Tom Grennan on the Tea With Me podcast. Tom, the first question I ask people when they do the podcast is the big question: do you drink tea? How much tea do you drink? If so, and if you don't drink tea, then what's the issue?
Do you know what? I'm not a massive tea drinker. I was, but then I stopped drinking like milk. And now I just don't really like tea with almond milk or oat milk and that. It just feels a bit wrong. If I'm drinking tea, I need to be drinking an actual tea. So I feel like if I was still drinking milk, then
Yeah.
I'd be all on the tea. But because I'm not, I don't want to disrespect the tea.
Well, look, this is a journey that I've been on myself, and I'm actually drinking. I'm drinking almond milk right now. And
Are you?
if you'd said to me 5 years ago that I'd be
Yeah.
drinking tea without like cow's milk,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have entertained it. But you know, at the minute, I guess everyone's talking about the phrase is the new normal, and
Yeah.
for me, almond is the new normal to the point where,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm lactose intolerant, but if it came down to it, I actually
Yeah.
might go almond over cow. So
Really, yeah.
I get it is like a psychological barrier, but I think if you just, you know, you're talking about, you know, you need to respect tea. I actually think if you respect the almond enough,
Okay.
you will gradually start a new relationship with tea.
All right.
It's like gigs post COVID. You know what I mean? It's different,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
it still can be enjoyable. You know, it
Okay,
can.
I'll definitely give it a go more then.
Yeah,
It's like training the tongue, innit? It's like when you have a Guinness or something like that. When I first had a Guinness, I hated Guinness.
yeah.
But then when you train the tongue to like it, you're like, yeah, I'm down with this.
Yeah. I mean, train the tongue is a great phrase for an album, I think. But
Yeah, yeah,
Guinness,
yeah.
like my first ever legal or not legal, the first ever time I went to a bar and tried to pretend I was 18, I had a
Yeah,
Guinness because I thought
right.
that's what a man would drink. And
Yeah,
a place called White's Tavern, really really old bar in Belfast, and I ordered a Guinness, and the
yeah,
barmaid poured like obviously like 3/4 of it to let it settle, and
yeah.
the biggest rookie mistake, I grabbed the pint 3/4
Oh,
full.
no way.
She had to say like no, like she knew I wasn't 18. You know what I mean? She's like, no,
Yeah,
this is not what you do. But yeah, Guinness and beer are two things that do not taste good, and wine as well. Like I just recently got into
yeah,
wine,
yeah.
and
Right.
it's one of those things where people are like, you'll eventually acquire the taste for it.
Yeah, yeah,
You just gotta push through the barrier.
yeah,
Tom, the first time I saw you gig, and we're talking about it a little bit before we recorded, was Belsonic. I think it was Belsonic in Belfast, an outdoor
yeah,
gig supporting Ryan McMullen, and it was one of those ones where, you know, I knew your name. I knew your name from radio, but after you hadn't even finished your first song, and I could tell that there was a lot of people there actually for you. I've been to a lot of these gigs in Belfast where, you know, you got a really popular local artist, but a lot of the time on the support bill, it's acts that people aren't familiar with just yet. But
mm,
I think the reaction you got was just like you were a co-headliner on the bill. It was really really great, and the group of people I was there with, we loved it, and I've been a big fan of your music since. I want to ask you a little bit about gigging. I'm a stand-up comedian, so I mean,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
been
yeah,
totally different for me. So, have you been like since say March? Like,
mm,
what have you kind of lost out on? Like, what's been the new? I hate the phrase the new normal, but what's
yeah.
been normal for you in the last few months?
The normal for me has probably been doing online, loads of online things. Like I think, like everybody, I think, like at the beginning, I was like trying to kind of do all these live Instagram gigs and all that, and then it just got too much for me. I was like, this isn't for me. And like every time you got hit on Instagram, and if you follow musicians, I think every musician was doing it, and
Yeah,
it just was like, this is just too much. Um, so that was the start of it, and then in like September, October, I think it was, we did like a socially distanced gig, uh, which again, just it was good to be back doing it, but it definitely didn't feel like the normal, and it for me it was just like people loved being out. Don't get me wrong, but I just feel like it didn't, like, it wasn't the same. You know what I mean? But I did love it. So for me, the normal is just trying to get on with it, and kind of like have hope, and kind of just be like, we will get through it, and there will be a time where hopefully there's thousands of people in a room again. When will that be? I do not know. Like I meant to be going on tour in April, in Europe. So hopefully that will happen, but we'll see, man. You're probably the same, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, the online thing's obviously a lot different with stand up, because you kind of
yeah,
do need like you need. I mean, you know,
well,
like
exactly.
I've done gigs with two or three people. You need at least two or three people, but
Yeah, yeah,
I was against it for a long time, and I think a lot of
yeah,
people, like a lot of artists, were just in denial, and we're kind of like, it's all going to be back in a couple of months. It'll be fine. But
yeah.
we started doing the online thing about a week ago. We just started like an online comedy club, which is strange, but was just good. Once you're back in that environment of other acts being around and the
How does an
nerves.
online comedy club work?
So you've got five. We put five comedians on the bill, just one camera, um,
Right.
and the comedians are sort of sitting spaced out behind the camera, and they're your mates as well. So
Yeah.
it doesn't
So you
feel
in the room
as
to get
stuffy.
you? Are you in the room together with the comedians?
Yeah, we're all in the room. So you're just
Okay,
like,
that. So that's so there's people there,
yeah,
which is cool.
there's people,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
there's like enough of a laugh to kind of
yeah.
get you through it. It's
Do the
not like,
comedians jump in on the? Is it a bit like what's that show called with the Irish fella?
what's that?
Um, I don't even know what the so. All the comedians kind of jump off each other, or is it like each person's set to like their go?
Yeah, like each person's set is kind of like, we're trying new stuff as well, because that's kind of the out of like, listen, we're just trying bits. So if it doesn't
Yeah,
work, you're just kind of like messing around. But like
yeah,
definitely, like there's been a couple of times where you say something and somebody chips in, and that makes it like a little bit more. It makes it
yeah,
feel less stuffy, you know. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
when you're doing the online gigs, when you're doing Instagram stuff, is that all you, or do you have like management and your record label saying, listen, we think you should do this, or are you just figuring stuff out for yourself at the minute?
Um, I do have a social media team who definitely do help me with plans and definitely with like like stuff like that. But I think things work on social media when it's organic and more times than none it's kind of if I've kind of just gone on live or something like that and just for the fun of it. I think when it's all planned out and when there's like posters of me do it, it's kind of like, yeah, it's all right, but it's kind of expected. People are expecting to come on. Do you know what I mean? But if I'm just like, fuck it, I'll just do it and then for the whim, do you know what I mean? And it works. So it's kind of 50-50, man.
Do you think you'll come out of this period with like with with like anything like learned? You know what I mean? Like, will you come out of this with like a newfound energy for a certain aspect of being an artist? Like, what kind of positives will you take out of it?
Yeah, I think, mate, this whole lockdown has been so positive for me anyway. Um, like I'm on a journey now. I'm like sober. My fitness and beforehand I was just in a really, really dark place anyway. So for me, I'm take I'll take away from this lockdown is just being a new man, basically, man. But I won't take anything for granted anymore. Just knowing that one day we can have it all, and then the next it's all gone, and we're under restrictions and stuff like that. So not to take anything for granted, and yeah, but I'm so thankful for this time for me to have been able to work on myself and like have time to reset and time to kind of think about which direction I wanted to go and want to go with my career, with my personal life. And yeah, it's been a blessing in disguise for me, man. Like I say, I'm completely sober now, and that is going to be my journey from now on. I don't think I'll ever go back to kind of. I might not. I like never say never with drinking again, but I don't think I'll ever. For me, in my heart and heart, I don't think I'll even have a sip of drink anymore.
Do you think was
Uh,
a lot of that for you, coming off the road and kind of being off that conveyor belt of just traveling to shows, and I notice in a small way that you know, when you're touring, when you're traveling for shows, everything like goes out the window. Like diet gets bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're drinking because you're meeting up with friends and all that kind of thing. Was that
Yeah,
it for
for
you?
sure.
Was it just like having time to, you know, just be with yourself?
I think so. Having time to be with myself, having time to figure out who the dickheads in my life were, and I was surrounded by a lot of dickheads. So it's given me time to kind of like put people up and kind of put people up like on arm's length,
Yep.
and kind of just redirect myself. Yeah, I think for me, like you say, when you're on the road, you're it's all just a mad like tornado, isn't it?
Yep.
So having time to kind of like just sit back and just kind of reflect on everything that I've done, and also like I wasn't happy, and I know I wasn't happy, and I knew that I wasn't happy anyway beforehand, but I just was in a circle of like just destruction and also just a bit. I kind of let like loads of things get in the way. I let my ego get in the way. I let like my kind of just I changed. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I'm not happy with who I'm being, and like I was thinking the sun shone out my arse, and it didn't. And I think when you're in that world, yeah, it can all go wrong. Do you know what I mean? So
Do you
for
think that you?
me, yeah, go on.
I was gonna say, did you notice all that when everything stopped, when the shows all stopped? You kind of, I found as well that you can't when everything, like when all the noise stopped of doing shows and going here and going there, you're
Mm,
you're kind of just like with your thoughts, and
yeah,
you kind of get to see everything almost like out of your own body, if that makes sense. Like you mentioned
yeah,
fitness, like that was a big thing for me at the start of this, where I was like, I need something to throw myself in. I need something to throw myself into. I need to like,
yeah,
you know, treat that the same way I would have performing, you know, like working on things, going
yeah,
here, going there. So I just like
exactly.
replaced that with like running and working out, and that,
Yeah,
I mean, like
my mind goes at 100 miles an hour anyway,
yeah,
and fitness for me was definitely something that could. I. It's like football. When I played football, I didn't think of anything else apart from the game. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And everything else was kind of put on hold for that
yeah,
90 minutes. So when I'm doing fitness, I think for me it's just it's an escape from all that was going on. And I think the day I started fitness was the day, obviously, when I was like, this right change is happening. And I think like as well, kind of with this second album that I've got coming out next year, like I was so prepared for that second album to come out this year in June, that kind of I had to have something to distract me from that not coming out,
yeah,
because for me this album's all about um a breakup that I had with my ex-girlfriend, but it's not like a breakup album. It's kind of an album that explains that I was a kind of toxic one in a relationship, and I also let like ego get in the way. I let partying get out of the way. I let friends who I thought were friends get in the way, and I let loads of different like voices get in the way of this relationship, and that's basically just me saying sorry, and it's also me saying thank you as well. But because because I was expecting that album to come out, for me that it was kind of like, oh, finally it'll be out, and all that will kind of be gone.
yeah,
It'll go into the world, and now I can start anew. Do you know what I mean? But because that's still in my life, and it will always be in my life, but I mean it in like it will be someone else's. Do you know what I mean? And they can
yeah.
take it on, and it will be there, and they can have their thoughts with it and stuff. And for me, it's just be like, wow, that's just the weight lifted off my shoulders. But now the weight's still there. Do you know what I mean? And it's still mine, and it's not anybody else's yet. Whereas, so I had to like say to myself, yeah, I need to focus on something else, so it doesn't. Do you know what I mean?
Speaking of focus, has like what about productivity and like and writing and that kind of thing? Like when you
Yeah,
kind of stopped the partying and focused a bit more, Does part of you worry doing that you're not going to write as much, or worry that like you know, a big change in personal circumstance means that you're less productive or whatever? Like, how do you
man.
find that?
I thought without alcohol and whatever else and stuff like that, I wouldn't be able to write deep songs anymore. I wouldn't be able to sing anymore. I wouldn't be able to like have the same persona as or like characteristics of myself. I wouldn't be this kind of like, rah, but that's a complete bullshit. It's like I'm writing again now, and I'm writing better songs do you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. This album that I've got coming out is called Evering Road. These songs are like the best songs I've ever written, and they're deep, man, and they're so honest, and they're so like the truth that it was hard for me to write these songs. But when I wrote them, I was like, these are the best songs I've ever written. But now I'm in a different headspace, and I'm writing songs that I think are better than other songs as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, changing up everything is complete. It's just, yeah, man, it's been so good.
I totally get that. That like, my brain works quick too, I think, and you're always, I'm always thinking of material and thinking about this and that. And then this whole like lockdown thing, like first time, like I've been gigging for like 13 years, doing sort of stand up when I was like 18. And this was the first time where I've ever been able to like have a little look at my set, have a little look at my on stage delivery and stuff like that, and go, you know, can this be, you know, this can definitely be better. How can I do it? So weirdly, like a break, like I always feared a break. You know, it's like if I don't do stand up for a month, 2 months, 6 months, you'll like lose something. But I think weirdly it can be positive if you look at it in the right way.
For sure. I was the same. I feared a break too, and like when I have a break, I kind of like, why am I not doing this? Why am I not doing that? Why am I not doing this? Why is this other person doing this? Why are they doing it? Why are they? And like, and beforehand as well, I was so resentful of other people as well. Like, why am I not in a position that this other person's in? What am I? And like, now I'm like, why was I thinking like this? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm on my own journey, wherever that goes and wherever that takes me, like, be thankful and be grateful for it. And like, everybody wants to see everybody succeed anyway. And it's like, why was I thinking of like that shit? It's just boring, isn't it? It's just boring.
I want to ask you a little bit about football as well, because you know, I was doing a little bit of reading up, finding out a little bit about your kind of journey to where you are now. And outside of comedy, football's my big passion, and saw that you played for quite a lot of clubs, and maybe thought about that as a career. Do you love playing? Do you play in like, you know, like celebrity matches, charity games, that kind of thing, and having a background of actually playing for some really good teams? Do you love it when people don't expect it and you're just absolutely bossing it?
Yeah, I played in one like celebrity thing, and we won the tournament. Like, but I kind of cheated. I bought all my mates who were
ringers,
yeah. And we won it. But that was sick. The big one, I want to be asked to play. What's it called?
Soccer Aid, 100%.
Soccer Aid. Yeah, Soccer Aid. I want to be able to do Soccer Aid, man. Just so I can just play at Old Trafford.
Part of me's thinking like, you know, do I stand a better chance with like the Irish thing? You know, do they have to pick like people from like, you know, Scotland, Wales, England, Ireland? Yeah. You know, surely like, you know, if someone from Westlife drops out, like that's when I can hopefully get in.
Yeah.
But things like that, you gotta be careful that you like. I would obviously take it very seriously, but that's the thing, you can't look like you're taking it seriously.
Well, this is it, mate. But I would take it so seriously too, and like
personal trainer,
I'd be straight in. Like if I got the call up tomorrow, I'd be training for a year. I would be putting music aside.
at a big comedy festival in Ireland in a place called Kilkenny. There's a stand-up festival, and they do like a big match at the end, a big comedians match. And the last time I played in it, was like Kevin Bridges was playing up front in my team. Loads of like big comedians, and they do it on the Sunday morning. So like the Saturday night's the big night of the festival. People are drinking till 3, 4, 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I remember just like having a drink in my hand at like 12 and setting it down and being like, listen, I've got a match in the morning, and arrived a little bit early to do a warm up. Obviously nobody else was warming up, and the first whistle goes, and I don't know what happened there. The first whistle goes, and obviously like, I'm chasing down a lost cause and trying to get other people to press. And it was like 3 minutes in when I was like, I could not look like a bigger dickhead here. Like, there was a guy playing in a wrestling mask. You know what I mean? So But Soccer-Aid's where it's at. You said that you have some a lot of Irish family. Have you been over much? Like, you spend much time over here?
Yeah, loads. Like now, like my granny and granddad. Well, I've never met my granddad, but my granny, she died when I was like 13 or something. But we used to go before that. We used to go like 3 times a year.
Whereabouts?
My dad's from Offaly, but we do go every year, 100%. Like my dad makes sure that we're over there once a year. But now, luckily enough, I get to play over there. So like when I go over there now, it's either for family or music, and then all my family are coming to the shows. So it's great. And to be honest, I love, mate, it's like if I got asked to play for England or Ireland, I'd play for Ireland.
Love that. To be honest, like Ireland and Northern Ireland, like did not have good qualification campaigns there. We didn't make the Euros, so like there is a chance. Yeah. There is a chance if we play in Soccer-Aid, and we play all right, there's a chance we could get the call up. Like it's not out of the realms of possibility.
I do love it, man, and like I've got it tattooed on my hand off Ufalia, mate.
Oh, excellent.
So I'm a big it's dear to my heart, mate.
Let me ask you about kind of the rest of, next year. Like, what does that look like for you? Are you able to plan too much? And with the album coming out, will you be able to tour that and travel and that sort of thing?
Like I said, April we're meant to be on tour. Whether that happens, I don't know. September is like England, Ireland. Again, who knows? It's all just who knows at the moment, isn't it?
It's funny.
It depends on this fucking vaccine and stuff like that. Whether that happens, don't know.
Yeah, like putting stuff back when this all started felt like overkill. You know, when you had a gig in September and you were putting it back to like January, I was like, I don't think we need to do this. And now the stuff that's next year, I'm like, is that?
I know.
Yeah,
it's crazy, man.
It's good. Will you come back to Belfast? Do you do a gig in Belfast?
Yeah, I've got one booked ready to go, man.
Do you know what? Can you tell me where? You know where you're playing?
I can't tell you where now because I don't think any of the tour dates have been released yet. So, but it's going to be a big show, so I can't wait.
Good. Like people say, everyone does this where they're like, "Oh, is it special when you come to the place that they're from?" And everybody's like, "Oh yeah," but in Belfast, like, do you notice like Belfast and Dublin crowds and Ireland in general? Like, what are we like as a crowd? And you can be honest if you're like, listen, you guys are absolutely brutal. Like, what are we like as a crowd?
Like I said, we were speaking beforehand, right? And I told you about the gig that I did. My second time in Belfast after the time you saw me was at a place called what's it called? The Limelight.
The Limelight.
And I had a gig in Dublin the night before where I hadn't been to bed, and got the train because I was meant to get the tour bus up. I was like, nah, I'm not getting the tour bus. I'm staying with my family. We're having a drink. And that just turned out to be 9 o'clock in the morning, still up in a pub in Dublin. And I was like, oh my God, I've got to get a train now So I got the train, was still drinking on the train. I thought, just drink through it, it'll be fine. Got to Belfast and anxiety just hit me. And I was like, shit, this is the last day of the tour. What have I done? And honestly, I couldn't look at the crowd. I was singing with my back to the crowd. Like, in my head, that was the whole gig. But obviously, like, when I got told, they were like, everyone was like, it was great. And to be fair, the Belfast crowd, they held me together, man. So
good.
If it was shit, I would tell you it was shit.
Yeah.
But the crowd were actually fucking decent, mate. They were wicked.
Have you ever been sick on stage?
No, I've never been sick on stage. No, to be honest, I live for going on stage, man. Like, it's where I feel the most. Where I'm like, this is me. This is what I'm about. This is like home for me. But that was the first time ever I was like, shit, everybody can see me and they like smell the alcohol for me. Do you know what I mean? But everyone was supportive, man. It was good. It was good. And yeah.
That's good. I mean, I think, like you mentioned about playing football there, for those 90 minutes, you could be going through the biggest drama you've ever gone through, but when you're kicking a ball about, it doesn't enter your head. And being on stage is the same. Like, there's no, like, there might be a little bit of like, oh, I might need to change this up. So you're like thinking a little bit ahead with the material, but being on stage is great. The virtual thing, I don't know. We're trying to do a comedy club like every Saturday, but it's just like a placeholder. It's just keeping something going, and like it's a little bit like going to the gym. It's not a big thing, but it's like getting some reps in. That's kind of how it feels.
100%.
All right, well, Tom, thanks so much. I really appreciate you chatting to me. When you come to Belfast, we'll do some workout. We can't have a drink. I mean, that was always the thing.
We'll have a drink, but I'll have a little soda water with lime cordial. That's me now, mate.
Excellent. We'll do a 5K and a couple of squats. It'll be a good time. Tom, thanks very much. I really look forward to the album. Some of the stuff that I've heard recently, like Amen, obviously is such a belter of a tune. And thanks so much for taking the time. Appreciate it.
That's all, man. Have a good one, yeah.
Cheers, Tom. Thanks, mate. Bye. Sippers, there we go. My episode of the Tea With Me podcast with Tom Grennan. What an interesting character. Tom was just great to chat to. Like, everyone nearly comes on the podcast. I say nearly, which made it sound like somebody wasn't, but genuinely everyone that's done the podcast has been great. Tom was brilliant. Really, really enjoyed chatting to him, and definitely want to go and see him next time he comes over to Belfast. So maybe we'll get him on again closer to the time when he's able to bring the tour over here. Check out his music. You'll really like it. He kind of, and I don't even know if this sentence makes sense, he splits a lot of genres. It's a little bit of soul, it's pop, it's a little bit rock as well. It's kind of indie too. You know, it's all different genres, and he's great. Tom Grennan, thanks very much, Tom, for doing that. Sippers, patreon.com/teawithmepodcast, where from the new year, at the minute you're getting a bonus episode. From the new year, you're almost going to get 2 and loads more stuff. So check out what we're doing over there. Also, the episodes are a little bit more wild over on the Patreon. The Comedy Show will be streaming this Saturday night, and as many Saturday nights from now on as we can do it. You can watch the first one with Mickey Bartlett, Kieran Bartlett, only people with the surname Bartlett, Paddy McDonald, William Thompson. Really, really fun episode. So thanks very much. I'm trying to be as productive as possible in this time, running about like a blue earth fly, trying to get loads of stuff done for the year, things filmed, sketches done, all that kind of thing. So yeah, I appreciate everybody who listens to the podcast, and we're in a good moment with the podcast. There's a good feeling about it. People that wouldn't normally listen or whatever have said, like, I didn't know you were doing a podcast. I've checked out a few episodes. So yeah, I'm really, really, really enjoying doing this at the minute. I'm going to listen to some of Tom's music. Thanks very much, Sippers. I will see you on Wednesday for the next episode.
It's good to be back doing what... Let me start again. I said, good to be doing what we're doing 6 times. Fuck it, that's that. And there we go.
I'm gonna have to keep checking down my notes like I'm fucking Joe Biden, pretend I don't have dementia here. This is class. I've got to the point now, if I'm having sex with somebody, it's like I'm accepting an Oscars speech. I'm like, to be nominated is an honour, but to actually win.
And only during my set would this happen. I'm up here going, there's no audience, I can't be angry at anybody. Fucking phone goes off.
I'm doing 10:30 on a Sunday night, Wank's putting the bins out now.
Welcome, we're back.